everyone. Welcome to the Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man, and I am pleased to be with some tremendous guests. My man, Justin Payton, number one, Mike Semio, number two, and of course, the one and only Coaches Dante. How y'all doing tonight?
What up? What up? What up?
Hey, Mike.
Well,
Hello, everyone.
How y'all doing today?
I'm honored to have y'all as my guest tonight on my show. And what I would like to do to begin our show is to talk about, first of all, Andre Miller, the player from Alabama. I want y'all take on what you think transpired and how that developed and what your response was regarding Andre Miller.
Y'all go ahead and go first. I would love to hear
I'll go first.
Go, Gay. Hey, that's how we do it, bro.
I'm a little surprised at the stance of the university, that the university has basically said pretty much hands off, right? They let the kid play that the other kid played last night. And they don't have an investigation going on as of yet that I'm aware of as far as what really took place. They're letting the police handle this. So I'm surprised they haven't taken sort of the cease and taken the, kind of the hands-off approach with this, right? I thought they would be more proactive with this and actually sit them, because you have a university and you have a team at this point. The team itself probably makes a pretty deep run as a whole, right? And that university has a pretty strong status athletically and academically. So, I know this is all precedent setting for everyone as how this is going, and it's all awful how it turned out as far as whatever took place. But I am surprised that they haven't been a little bit more public about what they want to do, and basically have said, we're going to let the legal process go through. I hope they have an independent investigation going on themselves to get some better answers.
I hope, like Mike said, it's a lot of toughness going on with this guy. It's a lot of legal issues going on with him. I'm surprised they let him play last night. But good God, they let him play last night because Alabama was going to lose that game if they didn't have him. If this kid doesn't have that illegal issue, and if it stands that he is innocent, this guy's going to be a special talent in the NBA. The guy can score. Guy got freaky athleticism, can shoot from the outside, move without the ball, great defender. But it's tough to what this guy going through right now. I don't know if he's innocent or guilty. It looks bad on his hand. The way the story came out for it kind of looks bad on his end, but we'll see what's going to happen going forward. But the guy is really talented. If he comes back innocent, he's going to be a lottery pick in the draft. The guy is so good. He is special, man. The guy's a special guy. And they would have lost that game last night if it wasn't for Brandon Miller last night, for sure.
True.
Yeah, I agree with y'all. It's just not looking good, but we have to get more evidence and more statements and facts of what really happened with the gun and all that. It's just not looking good. But if he's innocent, like Coach Dante said, then he's going to be a very special player in the NBA. If it does come to the chance that it's going to come on his hands, it's still not going to look good. You could still be in the league, but you're still going to have everybody's going to look at you differently, than what they are accustomed to seeing and stuff because of that legal issue, though. Yeah, very special player, but it's just not looking really good right now. But we have to get more evidence and see what happens.
And now, y'all, my question is, how will that affect his draft status?
Well, I think, if you're going to go down, you're going to invest money in the kid, that's going to be a problem, right? That you're going to have that question, as Justin just said, you're going to have that kind of hanging over him and how other players and how organizations look at him. That's going to be really tough to walk through as a young person dealing with all of this. In an organization, they're going to really want to invest money and time into that person. I don't know. That's going to be hard.
My man Kuma Kane in the building now. Kane in the building.
Kane. It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough, and a lot of teams are gonna start moving away from him. You hate to move away from a talent guy like that. A lot of teams in that lottery would love to have a guy like Brandon Miller, but if it comes back like that, then again, you're gonna see a lot of GMs take him off the board. You're gonna see him. You're gonna see a highly first round lottery pick, probably not even get drafted at all. Probably not get even taking a chance on by NBA squad. But we gotta see when more evidence come out.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that one. It really just
Ooh.
depends if like the evidence comes out. If it does, like I said, it does come out, it's not going to be looking good. He might go down. His stock's going to go down for sure. We don't even know if he's going to be top 10. He might go down the second round. He might not get drafted at all. We don't really know until the evidence comes out, you know. But we've seen like college players that went to the NBA that had a lot of baggage on them and stuff like that, and that they teams still took the risk to take them and all that, you know. And it could be good or it could be bad. It just really just depends what the person wants to do in the future and all that. But it just really depends on the evidence. Like I said, if it happens, this draft is going to go down. If it didn't happen, then he'll definitely be probably top 10. You know, I have to do my mock draft and all that. So
Cool. What do you think?
Well, I think the team really doesn't want anything to happen, right? Because they're allowing him to play with the joint decision everybody made. So I feel like if the team's going to let him play, they know something. That's just personal thought, because you don't want to jeopardize your integrity as a college program by having a guy play when there's evidence of some wrongdoing on his part. But you never can tell in some of these situations. But I do think it's going to affect his draft status, even if I think it comes back that there's really not anything, just the fact that his name is involved. That's going to take some teams that would have took the flyer on him to say, oh, we're just going to back up on that one. And I do think if he does get drafted, whether he's implicated at all, just a little bit, whatever, in this situation, I think he's going to have a shorter leash than a guy who doesn't have some of this, coming out of college. And that may be fine, because he may be a guy that nothing comes of it and he's good to go. He doesn't have any situations. But if he does have a situation, you know how to meet, you know how people are. They're going to go back to, this situation in college. They said he wasn't involved, but with what's going on, maybe he was. They just somehow pushed him out of it. We know how that all goes.
All right, folks. Now, do you think there is any favoritism because he is one of the top 10 players in NCAA as opposed to him being a bench player?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
I know I'm asking a dumb question.
It's a pretty easy answer.
I want to know.
I'm sitting there like, is this a trick question?
Hey, if you ain't been charged yet, you good to go. If you good to go if you ain't been charged. Everything is all good. Now they wouldn't have you on the floor if it's wasn't nothing going on. If they figure you're not guilty or innocent, they wouldn't have you on the floor.
Yep. If you were the coach, would you play him knowing what you know, which you don't know everything? Would you play him knowing what you know and what you might expect from outside?
I wouldn't have played him.
I wouldn't either.
Me. I would have defaulted the other way and taken the safer approach to this, and let someone come after me later for taking that type of approach, as opposed to letting him play and then having to deal with the ramifications of that.
I wouldn't either.
Someone did pass away, and we have to take that into account.
You have to keep it safe. You have to keep it safe, because if you decide to let him play, that's going to be a lot of backlash and a lot of heat coming to your university and stuff. If you just play it safe and just let things cool off and let the legal process handle it and everything, and not play him, he's still going to be like a world top lottery pick if he comes out innocent and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen like players that only played like Kyrie Irving played like 9 games at Duke. And he still came up like a number 1 overall pick and all that. Even though that's a different situation because that was injury. But we still know that he's a special type of talent, though. And we just have to play it safe just to make sure that, everything gets cooled off before, if we know if he's going to be innocent or guilty.
I feel where y'all coming from. I'll be honest. He's there for a reason. I'm a coach. I'm trying to make sure I got a job next year. I can win more games with him. If it comes back that something happened, you're going to strip the games. That's fine. I still want him at the time based on the information that we had. So you can't hold it against me if you're attempting to terminate my contract. You know what I'm saying? Because you as the university cleared him. AD and different people got together and said he can play. So if you're telling me he can play, I'm gonna play him. Now, if it comes back later, they did something. Hey, those guys did their due diligence. They told me he could play. I played him. I am gonna be a coward and hide behind the university a little bit and say that they said he could play, but I'm gonna play him.
Yep, and like I say, you ain't nowhere where you can say no. If the guys cleared the play, and the program and stuff, them know that, the AD know that. If he cleared the play, I'm gonna put him out there, and I'm gonna play him. And then if he comes back to being guilty, then we can do whatever we got to do with him. We can do whatever we got to do with him after. So at the end of the day, now like I say, guarantee you they would have lost the game without him last night. The way he played in that damn second half, that whole game, they would have lost the game without him to a weak South Carolina team. So they definitely needed every bit of those 41 that he had. But if it comes back that he's guilty, and that he did give that gun, which is we probably know about, that he did give that gun to kill a female Lynn, then we'll just let everything, we'll just let him go. We'll just release him. And then if you want to like Koo said, disqualify every game, then that's fine with me. At least we know the truth. But if the AD say, hey, he's good to go, then I'm gonna throw him out there. I'm gonna play him.
Now, as a coach, y'all, are you willing to accept the ramifications of you allowing him to play?
Yeah, me and the university together, because the university said he could play, right? The university didn't come to me and say, "Cool, we're gonna leave it up to you to make the decision." The university said he's cleared to play. You can play him. So if the university said he's cleared to play, when they come at me, you better be sitting up here on my right and left with me.
That's why I got Cool on the show. That's why I got Cool on the show.
That'll be an interesting play down the line. Because I'm curious as to how much that university is going to back him. We'll see. I know what they said, and I know what came out last night, so we'll have to wait and see. True. I'm a little bit more on the fence with the fact of the university really backing him. I don't know how that's going to play out down the line. We'll see.
I really don't know. I'm at a cross between. Do you think if Alabama was ranked 28 as opposed to number 2, would that have made a difference?
Yep.
Yes.
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 Yep.
Hey, you see the game last night? The way he was going, the way he was playing.
Hey, he's nice.
Last night, literally. They would have lost the game.
I mean, he is nice.
If you didn't have like UNC without a number beside your name, that's a whole different set of circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be real. You know what I'm saying?
He's that guy. He's that guy, no doubt. And to go into a atmosphere where he was booed all night long, and to deal with what he did, and to perform the way he performed, and we don't know the whole truth yet. It hasn't come out yet, and I just want to bring that out because I don't know. I don't think y'all know, and I wanted to bring that out as the first topic of what transpired. Now let's go to a little bit of football. Even though I'm a basketball guy, Lamar Jackson. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. And coaches, I know you know all about football. So anyway, I want to get your take on Lamar Jackson. Now, is he gonna be given the whatever they call it? Is he gonna be given that, or is he gonna be traded, or is he gonna be? What's gonna happen with Lamar Jackson? And what does it affect to other college players?
I think as far as Lamar Jackson, if he doesn't get paid, they're gonna slap him with the franchise tag, and they might find a way to trade him. Huh?
Which one?
What you mean? You talking about the Ravens?
I'm talking about direct. Yeah, there's 2. You can do number 1.
They'll give him
number 2 is unprotected.
They're gonna give him the protected one where he can only deal with them.
Yeah,
because they're not gonna allow him to go out.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh God, no! They're not letting him go.
They're not gonna let him go. They're gonna give him a franchise tag if they can't get a deal with him to keep him now. and then they may find a way to trade him if they can't get a deal. Because at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson is your franchise quarterback. At the end of the day, he is his own agent, which make it tough to negotiate with at the first place.
Yes,
He
he
is his own
is.
agent, so that's gonna be the best
Give me his
amazing
money.
Yes, he is.
like that. So he trying to get that security for himself, and also the team. You can see the last 2 seasons when they missed, when he was missed, it clearly had an effect on the team. I think it goes beyond Lamar Jackson. You don't got any type of weapons. You don't got the weapons for Lamar Jackson. You traded Hollywood Brown, who was inconsistent in dropping the football a lot. You only have a reliable Mark Andrews as a tight end. But outside of that, outside of the running game, who are you scared of on the outside? Who are you scared of? You're not scared of no wide receiver that the Ravens got. So I think they need to get that receiving core together. But I think if they can't get a deal done with them, they're gonna might franchise tag them, and they may find a way to trade them if they can't negotiate a deal. That they're gonna do whatever it takes to try to keep him in that Ravens organization. And he is his own agent, so he's gonna be a little tough to negotiate with.
All right, so before we're going to the NBA, is he a franchise player? He missed 5 games last year and this year. Is he a franchise player? Do you want to put all your money guaranteed into a guy who has not played 5 games last year and this year when it counted them all?
Well, go ahead, cool. Go ahead, answer that.
Cool's gonna hit me up. Go ahead, Cool. Go ahead.
I appreciate you letting me go first here, Coach. So I would say this: if you take him and you give him the right line, if you invest the time in putting a quality line around it, if you invest the time in putting receivers, whether that's through free agency, whether it's through the draft or a combination, you get the team around him, but you give him protection.
Yes.
Right? Then you probably don't have him missing 4 or 5 games because he doesn't have to go out there and actually be a quarterback who can throw the ball. He can be a quarterback that can run. And I think that's the biggest issue. The organization needs to stop this mess, because if you had another quarterback back there, you would not be doing what you're doing right now.
Exactly.
So organization up, do some testicular fortitude, Ravens. Go out and get this man a team around him and see what he can do.
And pay the man. Pay the man. Pay the man. Like, you should have paid him at the beginning of the season. And he came out and you seen what he did, balling out and everything, and he don't have much of a team. He's the offense other than Mark Andrews that he's passing it to and everything. He's the entire offense. You look at each year, he improved each and every year. It sucks that he gets hurt towards the end of the season and everything, but this man improved each and every year. What, you not paying the man because of playoffs? Okay, it's different. He's still young. At the end of the day, he's still going to figure things out. He is your quarterback. He is your running back. You just look at them stats. He is everything right there with Baltimore, and you're not going to pay the guy? That's just
Andrews out
ridiculous.
in the playoffs, right? You get to the playoffs, you could take Andrews out.
Exactly.
And when you take Andrews out, what else does he have? His legs and a bunch of guys who drop the ball.
Yep.
Exactly.
And running backs
may
not get anything on the ground.
Right, it's not a unique formula, right? Build a team around a good quarterback. You kind of simplify things pretty easily, right? And he's one, and finding a quarterback in the league that's productive. You have 10 really good quarterbacks you can count on. He's one of those guys. So yes, pay him. Build your team around him. Give him a line. Protect him. Don't let him run around. Right? Let's be a quarterback. Let's be productive. Let's be efficient. That'll take care of everything. Right, it's simple.
Okay, now
I'm not making it sound simple. I know in the mix of the complications and the intricacies of professional football, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But as we talk about this, it's the same. We have this. You can have that conversation about almost every team. Go get a quarterback. You've got one. Pay him. Simple. Move on.
Now I agree with y'all, but I'm gonna be devil's advocate because it's my goddamn show. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. But anyway, you know how I am. Anyway, because of the fact he missed so many games, do you want to make sure his contract is guaranteed to the extent of Watson's, or do you pay him what make 190 million guaranteed, 180? Why does he want to make sure his guaranteed money is more than Watson's pay, when in fact that was outliers, they call it. They all call it outlier, whatever. Hit me up with that, yo.
I think that's where he wants to start negotiating from, right? I think he's starting from a high point, which he should, right? Leverage his talent, leverage his ability, and go from there. I think that's what this is, right? There's that structure has been set for the salary with Watson. Yes, outlying contract, yes, but he's got to start someplace. You're not going to lowball yourself, right? If you're the agent, you start high, right? And let's try to figure out what we can or can't get done with that. So I think that's the negotiation. I think that's the strategy.
You oversee the expectations. I mean, this dude won an MVP of the league. Dude went to 2 Pro Bowls and everything. And the year he got hurt, they could have went to the playoffs. So each and every year he could have been in the playoffs. But yeah, injuries is a part of the factor. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns paid Deshaun Watson a whole bunch of money. But that's the Cleveland Browns, though. They haven't won anything. They're desperate to have like a quarterback in the Cleveland Browns team. They're desperate to have a quarterback. So, I don't really understand why the Ravens are playing around with this. Like, they are just playing with fire right there. It's like you got your best player, and then you letting them play, and then you're like, okay, well, we don't, like, you want to pay him less. You can't pay him less. Like, what's going on? You don't trust him. You don't trust his injuries. Dude has been productive each and every year. If you just pay the guy, he ain't going to complain. He's going to do his part. You got to build a team around him next. Why can't I be the GM of the Ravens? I mean, goodness, I would have paid the man already. So,
I mean, you got.
Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
I mean, you got Deshaun Watson who ain't played a year making $230 million. You ain't played him about a year. You have Kyler Murray making $250.
Yes,
$250 for his first ever playoff game to go out there and do something like that, not read a playbook, not study, and just to go out there and be a top 15 quarterback when you're supposed to be this elite type of a top 10 quarterback. You're not even a top 10 quarterback at this moment, but he's making $250 million. And Lamar Jackson, who can lead his team to the playoffs every year, can't even get a dime at this point right now. So, I mean, I'm not going to say he's nobody else franchise quarterback, but for the Ravens, he's their franchise quarterback. And I figured they need to put that money in his pocket and just get him some weapons around him. Like who can't say if he doesn't get hurt, if he doesn't have a good offensive line, which was hurt all season long. If he wouldn't get hurt, if he wouldn't have to stand in the pocket and wait on a receiver that can get open. You mean to tell me I gotta wait for Deshaun Jackson, Sammy Watkins, whose foot always hurt, and Watkins? You mean that those are my receivers right there? I gotta wait on to get open in the beat up offensive line.
Exactly.
No, please. I better get my money. No, please.
And here's a different angle I want everybody to think about. Baltimore, you are getting ready to screw yourself royally. Because any day now, QB number 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles is about to get that bag.
Mm-hmm.
And the bag he's going to get is bigger than Deshaun Watson's.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but the truth is the truth. This man really did enough to win the Super Bowl this past year. His team didn't help him, but he did enough. He going to get the bag.
Yep.
And every year, guys that you put in that same category as Lamar, those dual threat guys, they're getting more and more and more money. Mm-hmm. Do you think Lamar is going to keep saying that my starting point is Deshaun Watson when Jalen Hurts gets a bigger bag? You know what he's going to say?
Oh, he wants a bigger bag.
Hey, but y'all, the key is guaranteed money, right? Guaranteed, right? That's the key, right? Guaranteed.
That's his thing, right? So what he's going to be able to do, though, is once this contract with Hurts happens, is say, hey, I was asking for $240 all guaranteed or somewhere around now. Hurts got such and such. Maybe it's not all guaranteed, but that dollar amount is higher. So now I'm not going to take $240 guaranteed no more. Now you're going to have to give me $280 guaranteed.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen.
Justin Herbert got to get paid too. Don't forget Justin Herbert. Get paid too.
The reason I pointed out Hurts specifically is because they put him in that same category.
Yep.
Of the dual threats. So that's why I pointed out him specifically. But you are right. All those guys get paid, and the more these quarterbacks start making, Lamar Jackson is not going to take what he was willing to take last year. So every longer that you wait, Baltimore, you're just taking the gun and just aiming at your feet and just letting it loose. And sooner or later, you're going to hit yourself in artery, and it's going to be really bad.
I agree. I'm just being devil's advocate. I agree with y'all. I'm just being devil's advocate. I'm trying, come from a different point. What about from a owner's point of view? Look, you ain't been there in the playoffs, and you want me to pay you all this money guaranteed when you ain't been there for the last 5 games in 2 years. Now, what do you tell the owners from a management point of view?
Do you want to win? Because if you want to win, you have to put a team around a franchise quarterback.
Yep.
If you're not going to put the team around him or have him, then we are going to be hot trash juice in the summer in the bottom of your trash can that's been hanging out there after it rained, after the snow, and it never evaporated. We're going to be a pile of that for years to come if we let a franchise quarterback walk, even if we get picks back, and then we don't put a solid line and at least solid players. Nobody's saying go out and get superstars, but go out and get guys that can get separation and make a catch for you. Go out and get guys that can actually block a run and the pass.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Go out and get guys other than the 2 tight ends that can be taken away because you can focus on them because nobody else really catches the ball like that. Or in the case of Bateman, is never on the field.
Right.
He's quickly, rapidly approaching street clothes status.
Hey, you knew Koo was gonna come with it.
I didn't realize street clothes status was abroad across all sports now. That's pretty good.
It is. NBA too. NBA. We're gonna get in that in a minute. But
well, I guess from an owner's standpoint, what's the alternative? Right? You're going to let him walk. You're going to trade him. You're going to get picks. So your organization continues to slide down that line where you looked at as a respected organization. I don't know if I'm an owner. I want that.
Well,
you can always get Derek Carr. He's out there.
Well, Mike, you know what you can do? You can take 2 options. You can pay him the low option, which means other teams can get him, or you pay the protective option where teams can't get him. And then you can move them.
You got to do the
protective. Or you can trade him.
You got to do the protective because if you do the protective, then you can still trade him.
Yeah, so obviously Baltimore is not that enthused with his injury-prone ways. Otherwise, they would have paid him because look who's already gotten paid. He's the last one.
Put a team around him.
If you're looking from their point of, I'm looking from their point of view, not
but they know I'm just saying they know the personnel that they have around him.
Exactly.
They know what they're putting him out there to play with.
Exactly.
And if they're supposed to be people that can evaluate talent, they know that the other talent around him is subpar. So you expect him to go out and be the Lord Jesus Christ himself of football. Come on now.
Kyler Murray got $250 million, and he's not going to play next year on an ACL injury. He's not playing on that ACL injury. He's not going to $50 million.
The games either he's going to be somewhere playing the next FPS to come out.
You look at Lamar Jackson, the way he's producing and stuff like that with a bad team, offensive team around him, he still be like in the top 3 or 5 MVP. So why can't you just pay the guy? Why can't you just pay the guy? If you give a team around him, he's gonna be in the top 3, top 5 MVP every single year. That's how good of a great quarterback he is.
All right, my question to y'all is, does it have to be all guaranteed? Does he have to make more guaranteed than Watson? That's my question.
That seems to be what he wants.
Yeah, that's what he wants. Yeah,
that's what he wants.
I'm not saying what he wants. Does it have to be that?
It sounds like for him to sign the contract.
For him to sign a contract.
Look, if you want him to stay, you better just go ahead and pay him that money and stuff like that. You just got to pay
the guarantee.
I will give him the guarantee.
The guarantee.
I will give him the guarantee.
For how many years?
Pay him, or you're not. If you're not gonna pay him, trade him and just suck again, and then build yourself back up over the next 5 years or so.
Exactly.
Find your new quarterback. Find your new quarterback.
Exactly.
Find your new quarterback.
Right, so how many years you gonna give him guaranteed? How many years?
You got to give him at least 5, or he gonna sign it.
I would say about 3 to 5. 3 to 5. And just let him prove it to you that he is worth the money and stuff like that, because he has proven it time and time again that he's worth the money.
Okay, so if they franchise him this year, what do you think is going to happen?
He's
I don't
probably
think-
has to be traded.
I don't. To be honest, if they franchise him, I don't think he would show up to training camp or play.
Yeah, he's not going to be
They're,
happy.
they're gonna
He's
find
gonna
him.
be
They're gonna
traded.
they're gonna
Yeah.
trade him away before the season starts. Before it's coming to training camp, they're not. He's not gonna be there. Trust me, he's not gonna be there.
Nope.
He gonna ask out. He gonna ask out at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I agree.
I agree.
Again, I'm being devil's advocate, y'all. I agree with you. I'm just being devil's advocate. Now, do you think the best fit for Aaron Rodgers is?
I think right where he is.
I don't think he goes
think
to another
Oakland.
team. I don't think he
Oakland?
goes to another team.
I think Oakland with
Okay.
Devontae Adams.
Eh,
Hey.
I don't think Green Bay is gonna get rid of him. I don't think so.
I mean, I don't think they are, but I think
Like,
that's the best fit for him. You give him back
Oakland
with
would be
Devontae
good.
Adams, and then
Yes.
you sign Josh Jacobs back too. He got the running back. Waller may decide to show up because he's playing with Aaron Rodgers.
And fellas, think about it. He's due $60 million this year. 6-0.
That's absurd.
Think about that, y'all.
That is absurd.
I think the 49ers would be a good team too.
The 49ers might actually be better, to be honest.
Because you got Deebo Samuel, you got George Kittle, and Aaron Rodgers. I think he's from California, right?
He is.
Yeah, he
Ah.
was back. He
Because-
was man growing up.
Yeah, he goes back home because
Yeah.
he goes back home to the 49ers, and I mean, and then you got a really good defense player of the year, Nick Bosa. You got a really nice defensive squad and an offensive squad that could give you a chance to go to the Super Bowl. That gives you a chance, legit chance.
Yeah, I got Aaron Rodgers with Cool going to Oakland. I think Las Vegas is his best shot. I don't think him and Devontae Adams had an issue. I just think the organization had an issue on paying and Devontae Adams. I just think that was the problem, the issue. I don't think the issue was with both of them personally, but I just think the issue went on that the organization paid Aaron Rodgers instead of Devontae Adams, and I kind of see why. You want to keep your quarterback. You want to keep the guy that took your team to the playoffs for a decade. You don't want to pay your wide receiver because you got Jordan. You don't trust Jordan Love yet, but now it's time. Now if they do decide to trade him, Jordan, we're gonna see how good Jordan Love is gonna be. Cool McCain figured that out for 1 minute of the Eagles game. But other than that, I kind of see why they kept wanting to hang on to Aaron Rodgers. Las Vegas, I think, would be the best shot for him to go to.
Yeah, what he said.
Mike, what do you think?
As I said, I don't think he leaves. I have this impression with Rodgers that he's more to deal with than what we know.
Yep.
I think there is some real issues with him, and I don't know if you'd want to take him and drop him into San Francisco in the culture you're trying to build there. And I know there's issues with their quarterbacks already, but I don't know if you drop him there. And I agree with Cool and Coach as far as where he would go. As far as Las Vegas probably makes more sense because there's always turmoil there. It seems like there's always issues there, but there are some pieces, right? There are some pieces
True that.
There you go.
I think he could fit there with those pieces, and they could probably tolerate some of the stuff that that goes on with Green Bay. But I don't know. Again, like we're talking about Lamar Jackson, the alternative with that organization. Jordan Love is not the alternative if Rodgers leaves. I mean, I can remember reading a scouting report a few years ago about Love, and they had real issues over the fact he couldn't throw straight. I was like, well, that's sort of like a prerequisite for a quarterback is having the ability to throw straight, and that's why they wouldn't ever let him get on the field. So I don't know if that's improved. So you're going to go from a guy who is a all-pro quarterback to a guy who we had some questions about his accuracy for the time we drafted him. I don't know if those organizations are ready, including Baltimore, to really just undo their time with what they have. They need to figure some things out as far as cost goes, but I don't know if they're ready just to kind of strip things down at this point and go and try to restart things. That's not really what these organizations do.
That's a good point. Anybody else got to talk before I get into my thing, which is the NBA? And none of y'all can mess with me on that. Before we go into that, can y'all have anything left to talk about the NFL football?
Oh no, we're ready for you. Since we can't mess with you, let's go.
Hey, I invite you all to my show for NBA, but I want to talk about NFL. But now NBA, which is my topic. I'm the historian. I'm the con man. And anyway, what do you think about the trades before the trade deadline, before the All-Star game? What y'all think about that? And what do you think? What teams you think made beneficial stride to make it their team even better?
I'm not gonna say this team won the trade deadline, but I thought the team got better with this. I'm gonna go with Atlanta. I'm not gonna say they're winners of the trade deadline, but I think Atlanta getting Sadiq Bey on the perimeter. I think he really helps them out with the shooting and the defensive side of the ball. We know that they have some turmoil between Trae Young and Coach Nate McMillan. Trae Young is known as now everybody listing him as a coach killer, which is maybe true. There are some issues. There was some issues.
I don't think so.
That's an issue with him and John Collins. They've been trying to trade him for a couple of years, but adding Sadiq Bey gives them shooting. Also, they did get Garrison Matthews, who I thank God the Rockets got rid of. Maybe he can go over there and shoot Atlanta up out of the game over there. But that do add some shooting, and Bruno Fernando gives them some rim protection. I'm not gonna say they won it. I'm not gonna say they won it, but the intriguing one and is Sadiq Bey. I think Sadiq Bey. I really like Sadiq Bey out of Villanova. I think he helps them out on the defensive side of the ball and gives them a little more scoring. Gives them a little more scoring, and that was a great day for second round picks. Everybody was giving out just second round pick. You get a second round pick. You get a second round pick. You will get a second round pick. Every team got a second round pick.
I sort of like the Kevin Love move.
Yes.
To my Miami Heat.
Yeah, I like that move.
Not bad.
It gives them another veteran. It gives them another veteran. And some stabilization as they go into the playoffs. And I think there's something still left with him. And I think, Pat Riley can get something out of him. So I really like that move. The other moves that really took place, he sort of felt parallel to a certain extent that, they were just sort of add-ons to take. That was really, I didn't really see much movement as far as really improvements. But I do think that there are some intriguing things coming, the Westbrook thing to the Clippers, if everybody's healthy and everybody can play, that's kind of wishful thinking, I know. But that's sort of, I have some interest in that and following that too. So that would be pretty cool to see what happens there between the two LA teams.
Okay.
I'm going 1,000% homer on this. The Denver Nuggets, right? And I'm explaining to you why.
You're a Denver fan anyway. We all know that.
But I'm going to explain to you why. And it's going to make sense because this is not just complete homerism. So, number one. We got rid of a guy in Bones Highland, great,
who I love,
microwave type player. He can get hot, but he can also be cold. And on the defensive side of the ball, he is quite a liability.
Correct.
So we got rid of that. Got some of those second round picks that the coach was talking about. Everybody been throwing. We caught a couple of those back. We gave up a couple in Dion Reed to also grab Thomas Bryant. Right.
Good move.
The Thomas Bryant move was so perfect for the Denver Nuggets. You got a guy who could be a four and play alongside Jokic, and also can play and take some minutes away from him, allow him to sit and not have the ghost of DeAndre Jordan out there trying to play any minutes.
He's 86
he's about 1,005. He Methuselah granddaddy at this point. And then, you know what I'm saying, in basketball years. And then we picked up Reggie Jackson. So Reggie Jackson solidifies, the guard position, gives us another guy in that rotation that can play minutes, but he doesn't need minutes. If he plays 10 minutes a game, he plays 30 minutes a game, you're going to get the same Reggie Jackson. You're not going to have a guy in the locker room complaining he's not getting enough minutes, wanting to be traded because he don't play defense. You got a guy that's going to be a steady enforce. It's going to be another veteran that's going to help this team go to where they're attempting to go, and that's deep into the postseason. So that's why I think sometimes you don't need to make the big move. It's solidifying those small things that you need. We know Jamal Murray's knee is not 100% still. He has a sit-out game, so now you have a guy that is a legitimate starting caliber point guard that you can have play games where he can't play. So that just adds more depth at the guard position, more shooting, another floor general. a guy that can play alongside Murray when he plays, a guy that can
Mhm.
play alongside other guys when Murray doesn't play, like Bruce Brown. So you've got, you know, that piece that you needed, I think. So I think they addressed two major needs for their depth to go where they're trying to go long term. It's not the sexy moves, but it's the moves that sometimes make the difference between you being a lot better than you were, addition by attrition, and picking up the right pieces to fit what you already have in place.
I definitely agree with the Nuggets. I love what
Ooh.
Boston did too as well. Adding Mike Muscala from the OKC Thunder, giving them a stretch big that be able to shoot the 3-point shot to help with Tatum and Brown to drive into the lanes. And we don't have to depend on Robert Williams playing a lot of minutes because of health, and Al Horford out there because of his age and everything. Just getting another guy play alongside it with the bench with Brogdon and all them, and to be able to stretch out the floor and be a big. That was a really good move that Boston did. I like what the Lakers have done, getting rid of Westbrook finally out of the contract, getting rid of Beverly, and bringing D'Angelo Russell and bringing Malik Beasley, and then you have Vanderbilt, who's a really great wing defensively. So the Lakers got better by getting some shooters and getting a defensive player too as well. And they got Rui Hachimura. So the Lakers got a little bit better and everything. So they'd be able to compete into like the play-in and everything. So that was a really good move. Phoenix Suns. I really love I like the KD move. Depends on health, because they could easily be the best team in the West if healthy and everything, with KD and Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and then you got the bench was kind of suspect a little bit, but then when looking at it, Terrence Ross, and they have Okogie, they have Shamit, they have Cameron Payne, so they got a pretty nice bench just looking at it and everything. The question is just health though, and then can they really depend on the bench production consistently though? Because you ain't gonna stop KD and Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul can have open floaters and open shots because they won't have to double team Booker or KD, and then he'd be able to facilitate and give everyone the ball and give people touches too as well. So I really like that move too as well with Phoenix though. So
I just want to say, I completely agree with the Lakers. I think the ability to take Pat Bev and turn him into anything was impressive. So I think that alone makes him
He's back home
better.
though. He's back home. He's back
in
home.
Chicago.
He is.
He's back
And
home.
also, I hear a lot of people talk about DeAndre Ayton in this rarefied era. As I know, I'm a Nuggets fan, so I've seen a lot of times where DeAndre Ayton shrinks and disappears in games against Nikola Jokic, who he has way more athleticism
Yes.
but he can't outplay ever. So when I look at DeAndre Ayton, I see a guy who gets a lot of grace from people, but what does he do consistently on the court to support that grace that he gets from people? That's just my take on DeAndre Ayton.
No,
But-
I totally understand that. I
But
just
Mike,
think
Kevin might help him out doing that.
How
Well,
Kevin
Chris
gonna help him
Paul-
out? Kevin
Chris
ain't gonna make him
Paul-
tougher.
Chris Paul.
No,
Chris Paul can
he's gonna give him more
easy looks.
space.
What was
Kevin, Kevin likes the mid range and driving to the hole. Con man.
it?
You got point. You got point there. You got point there. Hey, you got point there. Hey, Mike, what do you think?
Well, I following Cool's assessment of what's taking
Hey,
place in Denver.
don't care about Cool. Cool,
No,
I don't give a- I love that brother. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so I'm learning as I go. So I do. The Denver stuff is always intriguing to me because it's just a unique way of playing that you just don't see in the league.
Yes.
And I do think that at some point that has to kind of come to the top. And I'm hoping that takes place this season.
Me too.
The Phoenix thing is weird with Durant. It's again to Cool's point. It gets crowded in there when the mid-range game gets to be real busy between him and Chris Paul. I'm not really sure how they're going to deal with that, and I'm not sure when push comes to shove, how do they stop anybody? There's nobody really on that team that has any interest of playing defense. And at some point, that does come back in the playoffs, right? 7-game series, you're playing each other every couple of nights, and you're banging into one another. That's really hard. I don't really see that changing. And that looks, you look at the East looks completely different compared to the West. The West wants to score. Some teams excluded from that. But the East kind of, has a little bit more defensive minded to it as far as what's really taking place. And they're used to that. Between Boston and Milwaukee, they've been there before, so they know what that's like. I'm not sure with that piece with Phoenix, with Durant, that really solves that. It doesn't, in my opinion. I think that just is a nice offensive piece, and they look great on paper, and it'll look very splashy with all the scoring that goes on. But I'm not sure how that projects. Again, a couple of questions I asked on some podcasts, that are they there to win a championship, or are they there just to look good? Are they there just to kind of run up the score, looks flashy on TV, flashy on ESPN? I don't know. I mean, new owner, what's the owner there for, right? The owner is he's young, he's a young kid, right? Lots of money, throwing money around, makes a big trade. So I think that's where this comes from. I don't mean to sound so cynical on this, but I think that's where it is for that team, that organization right now. It may change in the future, but I think this season, they're just looking to make some news and make some noise, and that's about it. I don't think that really that dynamic doesn't change, in my opinion.
As long as they don't get Isaiah Thomas.
$1,000,000,000% agree. $1,000,000,000%.
Let me tell you something, y'all. I'm from the old school. I'm way older than all y'all. And I'm gonna give you old school. Crowder going to Milwaukee is the key. Every team needs a thug.
Sure.
Every team needs a tough guy. Every team needs that thug that's gonna play like Tucker did when he was with Milwaukee.
The only year they won a championship. I knew you was gonna go there. That's why I didn't say nothing about it, Conn. I knew you was gonna go there.
So, in my eyes, if they're healthy, Milwaukee is the team, because they got that thug that's gonna play, whether it be Tatum or Brown or whomever. They need a thug, and Milwaukee has that thug now. They lost one with Tucker, and they gained one with Crowder. Watch out
with a way better jump shot.
Yes. Exactly. And you know something? And the fact that Phoenix kept him from going to any other team, watch out. Milwaukee with Crowder, they got that thug. They got that guy who's going to be that tough guy, that guy who's going to play hard and make things harder for everybody else. They put Tucker on Durant. Think about it. He's 7 inches shorter than Durant. They put him on him, and he did a good job. He wasn't great, but he did a good job. Now they got Crowder. I'm telling y'all right now, Crowder's gonna make a major impact on Milwaukee this year. And I believe if you look at almost every team, they have that thug. And Boston has a thug, Marcus Smart, but he's a god.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Coach. Don't do that.
He's a god. He's a god.
Don't do that.
But think about it. Look at the Pistons. Look at the Bulls. Look at all the teams that have won in the last 10 years. They've always had that thug, that guy who don't care about scoring, that don't care about shooting, that all he cares about is playing defense and playing that high-nosed defense. And Milwaukee has that guy now, Crowder. And did you know that Phoenix, a lot of teams wanted Crowder, but they wouldn't give him to anybody. And they ended up giving him to Milwaukee.
Well, you remember it was a double trade. They traded to somebody else, and then got to Milwaukee. They wouldn't go give him straight to Milwaukee. They
you know what I'm saying. But they got him.
They did. They ended up with him. Smart move. I agree. But like I said, Conn, man, that's the old school move. I knew that was you. We're gonna take it.
Absolutely. Now, gentlemen, man, I'm so honored to have you guys on my show. Now, what I want to do is I want to ask you guys, where do you think the landscape is going with the NBA? And also, I had the most horrible time watching the All-Star game. I want y'all to give me your knowledge, your influence as how they can improve the All-Star game.
How about make it a game?
How?
Well, so there are a couple of things that have come up that is really following. It's somewhat like
how about not playing the game at all?
I know, right? So they tried to gimmick the whole thing, which was disappointing. But the whole draft thing takes a long time. It ends up being, unfortunately, it's a TV show now. It's not a basketball game. It's a television show for sponsors to kind of weigh in and glob onto this. But I think it really has to go back to the emphasis of the game and let them play, right? It just can't be guys running, dribbling down court, dunking 3-pointers. Michael, you and I can remember when that game was a game.
You damn right.
Right. That was something that you look forward to, seeing those guys compete against each other, because some of those guys, and again, the way the access was way back, you weren't seeing a lot of those guys play. Right. So I don't recall seeing George Gervin play very often. But come to an all-star game, I got to see him play against Julius Erving. I got to see him play against some of those great guards and those great players. So I think getting it back to a game, and one of the things I thought was a little bit intriguing was, do you go to where it turns out to be with the U.S. against the world? Do you have that kind of draft where you have those players that have come from not the United States playing against the United States team? So I know that's a little bit gimmicky, but there's something there to that, I think. But I think really just getting back to having a game, having it be competitive. And this is in other sports, right? So the NFL's walked away from the Pro Bowl. The NHL it's not an all-star game anymore. They're just kind of skating around. So everyone's kind of following suit because nobody wants to get injured, right? That's really what it comes down to. And I can understand that. But I think you start losing interest. And I saw the ratings were just awful as far as who watched that particular event. And it wasn't a game. It was an event. And that's sad. And that's disappointing. Because I do think those guys inherently, because those guys are really competitive, I do think they want to play. I think there's barriers in the way of kind of keeping it from that. And I think they do want to compete against each other to see who is the best, right? I can remember watching those all-star games, and it was a big deal who got the MVP. It's just not that anymore. So I think they need to figure out and really strategize around. And unfortunately, one other thing before I don't want to go long on this, one other thing that's getting in the way of this is load management. Right, you've got guys sitting out games, and now you're going to turn around and say, okay, I want you to play an all-star game. And I know I'm talking my way out of my own argument here, but that's what happens, right? Those guys, load management gets in the way. I am not playing every night, and now you want me to play in an all-star game. They're in a situation where they look at each other like, I can't win here.
I think. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, bro.
Oh, I was going to say, first of all, from this. It was an awful game to watch. I will say that for sure.
It was terrible.
Steph Curry didn't play because usually Steph Curry will bring in a lot of numbers and ratings to, whenever you watch him play. Giannis didn't play because of that wrist that he hurt on Thursday's game and stuff. So we knew. Then LeBron decided to because he had the all-time scoring title and stuff. He just decided just to take a break and stuff and hurt his little finger, with the block and everything. So the way you can, it's probably going to end up getting worse because the NBA emphasis on scoring so much, like offensively, they want you to score a lot of points so that it can intrigue like everybody to watch. It'd be like, oh man, this guy's incredibly talented and skillful. The 3-point line, 3-point shooting, and the dunking too. Everybody gets excited for it and all. What they would need to do is, first they would probably have to just make teams and just only have 5 people, try to make it competitive, have like a tournament of like teams, and just have 5 people on each squad. Cause I forgot how many I think it's 12 or 15, for each 15. Side, 15. So why don't you do like 3 teams of 5 and have them compete, to whoever wins can go into to get the All-Star MVP or and win the trophy or something. Somebody said something earlier in Hoop Spaces that I was in. They said, why don't you just have the All-Star game before the NBA Finals? Because that can limit the less traveling. The players that got chosen and picked and everything, the 2 captains, they can be coaches if they go into the NBA Finals and stuff, just eliminate traveling and just make it just a fiasco. But, they would need to stop going to all these different random cities. Like we're in Utah, I don't really want to like watch an All-Star game in Utah. Why not go to like Miami or LA or New York, all the big cities, the big market and stuff to do that? Next year they're going to Indianapolis. No offense to Indianapolis. Like just start going to these different random cities and all that. Heck, we might have an All-Star game in Greenville, South Carolina, and we don't have much to do. There's much.
I hear it.
So it's just gonna get worse. But I mean, we don't even know how you can control it because everybody's just like not playing defense. Nobody ain't really giving no effort. So how in the world are you gonna tell a player, hey, you got to give effort on defense? Like give effort. I guess people just don't want to get hooked. People just they rather just take a break and their brand to be protected too as well. So I mean, it's probably gonna end up getting worse.
Cool. What do you think?
So for me, man, there's two options. One is you harken back to the old days. Go watch the games back in the days. There's a couple things you can learn from that. Number one, if you take the East players and they play against the West players, you have this crazy thing called competition that happens, right? Because people say the East is not as good as the West, or they say the West is not as good as the East, depending on the year. So if I'm only playing with guys from my conference, and all them suckers on the other side is from the other conference, we trying to get some bragging rights. But you can even expand on that. You win an All-Star game, the team from your conference that makes the finals is the home team. Give them something to play for. The other option,
I like that.
The other option is just say, forget the regular game, and let's just go to an extended 3-on-3 type thing, or half court 5-on-5 or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Because let's be honest,
there you go.
That's what we really getting anyway. We could do big three type thing and just have them play to different milestones, like you're doing in really now anyway.
There you go.
As a different option as well. I think those are really the only two things you can do. Now, a third crazy option that I threw out there, and some people kind of gave me some grief over, but you know me, take the grief and you know where you can put it. You could take the Rising Stars scenario. You could move that to Sunday and make that the highlight game. Make that a full 4-quarter game, 15 minutes quarters each. Because these kids, they ain't worried about getting hurt. They out there
trying to get paid.
They're playing.
So you giving them a chance for their brands to be seen. Rising Stars is all the first and second year players, right? Or G League kids. So you put all them together, go back to the two teams for that, and let them go out there and put on a great game for us on Sundays. That's another option.
All right, coaches, what you got, bro?
Hey man, hey, thank God for Cool McCain. Hey man,
he's all right.
No, but that's why I definitely 1000% agree with him, because
that's a good one.
Like baseball. I know it's baseball, and they out there having fun. But the winner of that, which has been the AL for the last 7 years, they get home field advantage. East and West, East versus West, making home court advantage. No matter, I don't give a damn if you have the better record or not. Whoever wins, they get the home court advantage in the NBA Finals. They get the home court advantage. Now the rookies versus sophomores or something like that. The Rising Stars. Now you see how hard those G Leaguers was trying to play against those rookies. Man, you want to know how I know that those G Leaguers come out there and try to prove something? You literally saw Scoop Henderson try to posterize my boy Jabari Smith on the reverse slam dunk. They would be competitive, like Cool McKay said. They don't care. They're gonna go out there and play hard. Jabari Smith against Pablo. Pablo was the #1 pick, so you have the animosity right there. Man, Cool McCain hit that right on the head. Well, all I was about to say. Hey, that's the way you make it competitive. The winner of the East and West gets home court advantage. No matter what, if you got the best, you can have the best record in the NBA. If the East win that game, they get home court advantage throughout the NBA Finals. I
like that.
Hey guys, man, we're running out of time. I want to thank y'all for coming on my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man, and I want one more question answered. Who is going to win the NBA this year? I'll start with Cool. Cool, who you going on with? No, Cool, come on, Cool. Oh, cool, man.
No more words.
Coaches, who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with I'm rolling with Denver. I'm rolling with the Denver.
Oh no!
I'm rolling. I'm going. My finals, guys.
Why have you on my show for?
My finals is Denver versus Boston, and I got Boston winning the finals.
Okay, Michael.
Winning the finals.
I've got Milwaukee.
I'm rolling with him. My man Justin Payton. Who you rolling with?
Ben on number 18. Going Boston.
See, no, and for you don't know, me and Justin, we go at it all the time. He likes Boston. I live in Boston area, and I don't like Boston. So we be beefing all the time. And we're going to be doing the NCAA finals when we have the picks. Y'all welcome to come on when we do that as well. But I want to thank y'all for joining into my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I'm honored to have my guests, Cool McCain, coaches Dante, Justin Payton, and of course, my man, Mike Semio. And we'll be back next Thursday. And you never know who we're going to have on. Thank y'all for tuning in. Freddie Henderson, he may be fired. But anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. God bless y'all. Have a great night. God bless.
See you guys.
See y'all.
Hey, I had to switch my setup. My fault, Conn, man.